What's up, guys? Welcome to Bleav in Rams, part of the Bleav Network. Erin, Coscarelli back with you. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, follow this podcast. You can catch us on Bleav TV and follow us on all the socials. Tyler Dragon back with us. He covers the NFL for USA Today. How are we doing today, Tyler?
Well, it's not Victory Monday as last week, but I'm doing pretty good. It was a rough day for all LA football teams
Oh, yeah.
on Sunday, but the good thing about the NFL is it's a week to week league, and you still got week 5 after week four's losses.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not the result the Rams wanted. They fall to 1-3 on the season, losing to the Bears 24-18. This was supposed to be a slam dunk. I mean, we talked last week after that huge win against the Niners. Granted, both teams banged up heading into that matchup. This is not good though for the Rams. This is their third straight loss on the road for the season. They're 0-3 this year so far. I mean, let's be honest. The quality of play, they were dysfunctional. It did not look like a Sean McVay led team. They
Yeah.
made Caleb Williams look great. He led 4 scoring drives. The Bears
Mhm.
now 2-2 on the season. They won their first game since week 1, beating Tennessee. They snapped a 3-game losing skid against Los Angeles. Let's break down the game. And then let's talk about how they can possibly rebuild after this. Okay. The Rams
Mhm.
started slow in the first half. You know, they only put up 6 points. Josh Carty missed a short field goal,
Mhm.
which was a game winner last week. Stafford lost a fumble, and the Bears were able to make key plays. Uh, it just didn't look good all around. When you take a look at this first half, what did you see from LA?
This was the first game where I would say to myself throughout the game that the Rams really do miss Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup. Like
Mm-hmm.
throughout the entire game, the offense just looked stagnant, couldn't get any rhythm going. Stafford had trouble finding open receivers because receivers weren't open. And the only thing they had going for a little while was Kyron Williams, but even that wasn't much. When I look at this Rams team, I mean, they struggled in the red zone, 1 for 4 throughout the whole game in the first half, didn't really get anything going. It was just a field goal game in the first half. And then you can't have the turnovers, which the Rams had. Obviously, the one at the end of the game. But if you don't even watch the game and you just look at the box score and you're 1 for 4 in the red zone and 0 for 2 in the turnover battle while you're on the road, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose that football game. And the Rams, like you said, it just didn't really look like a Sean McVay led football team from start to finish. When I saw the first half, I mean they got off to you know a decent start, but they weren't really in a rhythm. They got behind the chains
Mm-hmm.
often. They weren't in second and manageable or third and manageable. Oftentimes it was third and long. That's not a recipe for success, especially when you're without your 2 best receivers. So they were behind the chains a lot, lost the turnover battle, were inefficient in the red zone, and they just let a Bears team kind of hang around. And then soon enough, they got confidence. Caleb Williams probably had arguably his best game as a pro. He had a career high passer rating. The Rams let happen. He was comfortable for the most part in the pocket. We haven't really seen that um, thus far in his career because he's been sacked more than any quarterback in the league entering week 4. It's just the Rams did not really come to play, in my opinion. And it's really disheartening after a huge win against San Francisco 49ers at home. And for them to lay an egg in Chicago was disappointing.
Disappointing for sure. The Rams now 1-3, looking for a get back game against Green Bay at home. And you mentioned it. You know, LA didn't score a touchdown till the fourth quarter to make it 17-15. They couldn't convert a 2-pointer. It just seemed like Uh it just seemed like they couldn't get their confidence. Like you mentioned, Stafford didn't have a particularly good game either. He committed like you said, two turnover worthy plays. He had an interception, a fumble. He threw a pick in the red zone, which was called back by penalty. And I guess if we're going to talk about the good things first, before we sort of break into what maybe could have been improved, like you mentioned, Williams, Outwell, Whittington, we saw Whittington. They all
Mhm.
got solid grades, but the blueprint that seemed like what worked when they played the Niners last week at home, it just seemed like they kept trying to pass the ball. Do you feel like at this point, they need to retool this offense. They need to figure it out because, like you mentioned, it just seemed like gaping holes with Nakua and Cooper Cup still out. And there's no guarantee that we're going to get both of those guys back. When we had Dr. David Chow on, he said those are lingering issues. So even when Nakua can come back, it's going to be a lingering issue, guys. And that might have been what happened in the preseason because, during training camp was when supposedly Nakua sustained this injury, and then they bring him back, and he gets. It looks like they further aggregate, av- aggravate,
Re-aggravate.
re-aggravate. Thank you very much. Re-aggravate that injury,
Mhm.
and we just don't know what level of health those two guys are going to be back, when they're going to be back. They have a bye coming up week 6. And it just seems like this team is still trying to figure out what works with a banged up offensive line. We understand all of that. But yeah, Stafford getting sacked 3 times. The guy's getting hit left and right. I mean, we have to remember that guy's got to be a priority in terms of his health moving forward.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but it's almost like expected when you're without two of
Mhm.
your best players and you're working with secondary, receivers, and they have to come step up to the party. And Tutu Atwell played a decent game, but we don't expect him to be 1,000-yard receiver or get 100 receiving yards a game. They really do have to play behind Kyron Williams in the backfield and be a run oriented offense, and then have your run game set up the pass and have some play action passes so you can get those receivers like Atwell down the field. And you have to play stout defense. I think the defense took a step back against the Bears. They didn't really get after the quarterback as much as you would have hoped, considering the Bears' struggles with protecting Caleb Williams. And they really let the Bears march up and down the field
Mhm.
in key moments of the games. And the Bears were successful with getting into the end zone a few times. And that was the name of the game. The Rams were 1 for 4 in the red zone. The Bears had a little bit more success, and they didn't turn the ball over. You just have to think that the Rams have to go back to the drawing board and really figure out how to, I mean, for lack of a better words, tread water without these players. Because as you mentioned, they're not going to come back for a while. Luckily, the bye week is early for the Rams. You would hope maybe a Cooper Cup can come back after the bye week. They did not put him on IR for a reason. That's a
Mhm.
positive thing. So maybe he can
Right.
not miss 4 games. But without him and without Nakua, you have to run the football, and that patchwork offensive line that is getting a little bit healthier has to play a little bit better. And you need the defense to get some stops, create some turnovers, and really play smash mouth football and a physical brand of football up front. Because when you're undermanned and down key players, you have to have other players step up, and you have to win in different ways. And this isn't a Rams offense with Matthew Stafford passing for 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns a game, because they don't have the personnel to do that right now. So you have to run the football successfully, and you have to move the chains and have to be in front of the sticks and second, third, and manageable. And that's a successful recipe on offense. And then defense, you have to try to turn over the football and limit the success of a rookie quarterback who had career high passer rating against your defense.
Yeah, yeah. Their offensive output, the Rams made them look good. Kyron Williams, 19 attempts, 94 yards. He gets that score. His seventh straight game with a touchdown for him. And you know what? Uh, it makes me think of a guy named Blake Corum. Have we forgotten who that is? A national champion, elite runner, third round pick. If you weren't going to use him, why is not involved as much? I mean, it just makes you wonder what is going on with him. He had only a carry against Arizona, and so since that, he has not recorded a single stat, a rush, a catch. Uh, what is going on in your interpretation with Blake Corum? Why is he wasn't he drafted to be the 1-2 punch to Kyron Williams? I mean, what's going on there, you think?
You raised a really good point, and that's really mystifying to me. I would love to see Kyron Williams and Blake Corum in the backfield together, and
Mhm.
maybe in a shotgun formation, have them flank each side of Matthew Stafford, and Stafford really looks at the defense and picks the way the defense is lined up and hands the ball off to the favorable matchups in a read option type of system. That I think that would work wonders for the Rams. Have one of them line up at halfback and the other one at tailback or fullback, and have them both in the backfield, or H back. You know, there are ways where Sean McVay can utilize both of them in the backfield and not take Kyron Williams out of the game. Because I do get it, you don't want to take Kyron Williams out of the game because he's probably is your best healthy offensive player outside of Stafford. So you want to get him his touches and catches out of the backfield and carries, but Blake Corum, I do believe he's a rookie that can have an impact in certain situations, and I would love to see them both in the backfield and them kind of dial up plays that can utilize both of their skill sets.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, this defense still not on the same page, although, we did see some good moments out of the young guys. Jared Verse led the team
Mhm.
again with 4 pressures, but he had some missed tackles that are going to be an issue. And, I think at the end of the day, it's like we always thought that this Rams offense was going to overcompensate for some of the issues that the defense, but right now everybody's not looking great.
Yeah.
And they still have road games on this schedule. They haven't been able to put together a single win on the road, and they were hoping to do such a thing after a huge win against the Niners last week. Do the Rams at this point need to consider something drastic in terms of what they need to do differently moving forward? Like, is Les Snead and Sean McVay, what are they thinking right now?
So I don't think they need to do anything drastic. They just need to adjust their game plan and their approach. And the good thing is they have 3 straight home games coming up. When you count the buy-in, the Packers in week 5, then they play a Raiders team, and then they have another home game. I'm drawing a blank who they play. Oh, the Vikings. That's going to be a tough, for sure, home game. But 3 straight home games. You got some homecoming. I'm home cooking.
Mhm,
Maybe
mhm.
they can develop some chemistry with those underutilized backup players, especially in the receivers. Maybe those rookies can kind of continue to develop and gel, especially on defense. And then, I mean, I've said it multiple times. You have to try to establish the run game with both your running backs, as you just said, because you don't have the receivers on the outside that can consistently separate and make plays. I would love to see a Blake Corum get some more carries with
Mhm.
a Kyron Williams in the backfield. But I don't think it's panic time, so to say. I mean, we didn't expect this Rams team to have a stellar start considering the injuries, but you have to win the games that you're supposed to win against the teams
Yes.
like a Chicago Bears that playing a rookie quarterback. They should have won that game, especially coming off of a huge victory over the 49ers. But It's not time to press the panic button. However, the panic button is somewhere close, and my
Yeah.
hand is looking at it, but I'm not pressing it yet.
Not pressing it yet. They're 1-3, and like you said, they've got a nice stretch of home games. They play the Packers next, who just got not coming off a tough game themselves.
Yes, yes.
And I agree with you. This was kind of a matchup you would circle with the Bears going up against a rookie. I know you're playing in Chicago, and you've got your own injuries, but this felt like, it's like it's each week there is a theme largely being shown to Rams Nation. And each week they figure out how to fix it, but then they have issues again.
Yeah.
We thought, even against a banged up Niners team, we were seeing the blueprint of how maybe Sean McVay can sort of masterfully chess match without some of his key guys in the
Hmm.
lineup. We just didn't see anything good. Stafford, he was sacked repeatedly, and hit on 29 passing attempts. I guess the good news is he moves ahead of Eli Manning for 10th on the NFL's all-time
Hmm.
passing list. He's got 57,025 yards. For the two-time Pro Bowler. But those types of stats, I don't think Stafford cares about. I don't think Sean McVay cares about. I think they're wins and losses, and right now, they're just not stringing together consistently. And that is what Sean McVay said after the game. He said, after the game, there were good things, but some really uncharacteristic mistakes that we made as a team in regards to mental errors. And we let people free. And we can't do that if we're going to be a good offense and consistently execute. And that is what they're struggling with. They are
Hmm.
struggling with consistency. They are not putting up numbers consistently, and you saw that with the score in the fourth quarter. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess, moving the ball forward if we can. What do you want to see out of the Rams out of the gate? I mean, not just offensively, but defensively as well.
Yeah, well, on offense, I want to see Jordan Winnington get more
Hmm.
involved. I did like his game. I thought he was a bright spot a little bit in that game with 6 catches and over 60 receiving yards. Tyler Johnson, I would like to see him get more involved. He only had 1 target on yesterday against the Bears. Defensively, the missed tackles were an issue. I
Hmm.
remember a play that Jerry Verse had where he could have stopped Swift in the backfield, and Swift broke the tackle and got a first down. So you want to see them kind of fix those issues, missed tackles, and get off the field on third down, create
Hmm.
some turnovers. There's no reason why the Bears were play turnover free football with a rookie quarterback, and he was really comfortable, probably the most comfortable I've seen him in his short career against the Rams team. So you want to get pressure up front and try to create turnovers on the back end. This secondary with the Rams, we know they're not as the upper echelon secondary in the NFL, but they do have some playmakers back there. They can create some turnovers, and you want to try to see that because you're going to have to play complementary football if you're an undermanned Rams team. You need the special teams to come to play. There was a missed field goal yesterday. You want the punting game to step up, and then of course you need the offense and defense to make game changing type plays, and that did not happen in Chicago yesterday.
No, no game changing plays. Nothing that shifted the momentum, certainly. Some bright spots, but you're definitely a little concerned about the Krishula defense. That's for sure. And yeah, like you said, up next, they've got Green Bay. They return home. Their second straight game, and third out of their first five against an NFC North opponent. Jordan Love and the Packers. What do the Rams need to do in your eyes to sort of keep them at bay and finish into the bye going 2-3, not 1-4?
Well, the Packers are dealing with some injury concerns on the outside at receiver with Watson, but you want to try to contain Jordan Love. The the Packers started slow in their loss against the Vikings. But Jordan Love kind of got things going, got comfortable, knocked the rust off from his long layoff due to injury. So they're going to try to pass it on the Rams, especially with Jordan Love kind of getting comfortable and integrated back in that system. And then defense, the Packers have a pretty stout defense. They can get after the quarterback. They got some playmakers back there in the back end and Jair Alexander. So Matthew Stafford has to be better with the football. I mean, I didn't really like the interception that got called back either. It was illegal touching on the Bears. I mean, he could have had two interceptions. I know that game ender one was a desperation, but his decision making, you would expect it to be better, especially at home. But this is a Packers team that a lot of us expect to be in the playoffs and in contention in the NFC North. So the Rams are going to have their hands full. They could not put up a performance like they did in Chicago, or else they're looking at 1-4 directly in the face. You have to be able to contain Jordan Love in that passing attack and play turnover free football
Mhm.
and try to run on this Packers defense. And I think they do have some advantages with Kyron Williams.
Right. Control the momentum. I really want to see how this team responds next week.
Mhm.
What kind of situations Sean McVay is going to get himself out of. And I guess my question to you as we wrap up the show, I know you said the panic button's like it's close. It's not too close, but do we hit the panic button when they go in the event they go 1-4 into the bye? Is that something that at this point, if they only get one win heading into the bye, is that cause for panic?
I do think that's cause for panic because the way the schedule still shakes out. They do have the Raiders, that's a winnable game, but then you have the Minnesota Vikings who are undefeated right now. So you definitely don't want to start 1-4 entering your bye because then the bye week you're supposed to go in with momentum. You're supposed to be feeling good about yourselves, feeling optimistic. There's nothing optimistic about 1-4. There's nothing to feel good about yourself at 1-4. At 1-4, you're saying, okay, how do we try to salvage this season? How do we have above 500 record? You're not even really thinking about the playoffs anymore at 1-4. They're few and far between teams in the National Football League history that have been able to turn around a 1-4 season and go to the playoffs. So the panic button is close, but they have a chance to kind of turn things around. And the a win at home against the Packers is a type of win, same as the 49ers win, that can turn around your season, that can
Mhm.
galvanize your
Mhm.
troops and springboard you the rest of the way, especially entering the bye week. You can go in with some momentum. And then another positive, you have a feeling that Cooper Cup is going to come back in the near future. And Puka Nakua,
Mm.
a little bit down the line, he's going to come back. So you really do need this win. You can ill afford to go into the bye week at 1-4.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The Packers are next. The good news is they're at home.
Yeah.
Then you said yes, a very winnable game against the Raiders. And then, yeah, then they have the Vikings. Then they have the Seahawks, okay? The Dolphins at home, the Patriots, the Eagles. I mean, you're right. It's not the Bills on the schedule. It's not going to be an easy outlook. And I think heading into the bye with a win and then hopefully, like you said, galvanizing and utilizing that momentum heading into the rest of the season really does make a difference because this is a young team. This defense does not have Aaron Donald in the locker room to sort of change the mental outlook when you do feel like you have your back against the wall. This team is banged up. That's why it's a great time to have the bye after this Packers game. And then they've got a Raiders game at home, guys. So more to come. Tyler, thank you so much again. Always joining us week in, week out to discuss the Rams situation. Hopefully, they pull off a W this week. As of right now, though, they are 1-3. Tyler Dragon, we appreciate you. Thanks for jumping on.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. And maybe they can build some motivation from the Dodgers. I see your Dodgers hat on. They
You like
can
that?
be world. Yeah, yeah. I like that. It's playoff
A little
baseball.
LA blue, just to bring everybody's spirits up. But yeah, no, thank you again for joining us. Hopefully, better time next week. We can have a better conversation. But ultimately, Rams didn't get it done this week against the Bears, and it's still a long season. We're still at the early beginnings of it. So fingers crossed. But then again, thanks again for jumping on, Tyler. We appreciate it.
Of course.